interest on debentures, and interest on debentures is just like interest on any loan. So it seems to be difficult, but it is not a difficult topic. Before we discuss interest on debenture specifically, I will focus on interest only. The first thing which I want to ask from all of you, that if I am issuing debentures, so means I am issuing debentures as a company, whether I will be paying the interest or I will be receiving the interest. Obviously. See, listen to the question carefully. I am issuing debentures. I am issuing debentures means I am accepting money from public. I am accepting the loan. And if I am taking the loan, obviously I will be paying the interest. Think logically about that. 2-3 answers were wrong. Okay. So when I am accepting the loan from the public, obviously I will be paying the interest. And if I am paying the interest, it will be my expense or income. If I am paying the interest, it will be my expense or income. It will be my expense. And what is the rule for journalizing the entry for expense? Debit all expenses and losses. So it is my expense. I have to book my expense. I will be debiting interest on debenture account. I hope logic is clear now. So suppose I want to pay the interest on debenture. Now what should be the journal entry if I want to pay interest on debenture? What should be the journal entry? Yes, very good. Very good, very good. Obviously, no. One wrong answer is there. Okay, now let me tell. Uh, I am paying interest on debenture and it is my expense and I should debit it. So interest on debenture account debit, and because I am paying it, I will pay it through bank, so to bank account. Interest on debenture account debit to bank account. I hope the journal entry is clear. Okay. Now see. Now we will read the paragraph. Interest on debentures is usually paid half yearly. So there is a norm that whenever companies are issuing debentures, they will pay interest 2 times on that debenture. Half yearly they are paying. Suppose 10% interest is there. Now suppose company has issued 1 lakh rupees debenture and the rate of interest is 10%. Company has issued 1 lakh rupees debenture and rate of interest is 10%. How much the interest is there for full year? How much interest company will be paying for full year? Yes. Yes, obviously. 10,000. 1 lakh multiplied by 10%, it will be 10,000. Now, this 10,000 will be divided in 2 installments, 2 half-yearly installments, means 5,000 will be paid uh, after 6 months and rest of the 5,000 will be paid after next 6 months. So this way companies are paying interest 2 times. Generally it makes company comfortable, because see, here we are discussing a small size of interest 10,000, but actual amount of interest is too high, too much high. It can be in crores. So to make it possible, okay, okay. So we have discussed the general entry for interest on debenture. Now see, interest on debentures is a charge against the profits of the company. Obviously, charge against profits of the company means that you cannot say as company that because we are not able to earn proper amount of profits or we are not earning any profit, profits are less, we will not be able to pay your interest. It has to be paid legally, compulsory. Compulsory payment is there. So that's why it is termed as charge against profits. You have to pay interest on debenture in its loss or does not earn profit. So you have to pay it on the due date. The rate of interest charged on debentures is prefixed on debentures. For example, if the rate of interest is 9% per annum, name given to debentures will be 9% debentures. That topic we have discussed in beginning of the debentures also, that it is the name of the debenture. To remember that how much rate of interest is payable on these debentures. Sometimes company have different types of debentures. Some may be 9% debentures, some may be 12% debentures, some may be 10% debentures. As per income tax, company is required to deduct income tax at the prescribed rate from the gross amount of debenture interest before any amount is paid to the debenture holders. Now, as per Income Tax Act, there is a legal compulsion that if you are giving someone any income, you have to deduct income tax on that income, and that tax which you have deducted from his income is to be deposited with government on his behalf. Suppose I am a company, I am paying interest rupees 10,000 to person A. So it's my responsibility as per Income Tax Act that I have to deduct a certain amount of percentage of income, that is 10,000, as tax from the income of that person. Suppose it is 10%. So 10,000 and 10% means I have to deduct 1,000 from 10,000. That 1,000 is known as technically TDS, tax deducted at source. I am the source of the income because I am paying that person that 10,000 rupees income. So I have a responsibility that I will deduct rupees 1,000 as tax on that income on the behalf of that person A, and I will hand over that 1,000 to the Indian government on his behalf. So that 1,000 is technically called TDS. In short, it is called TDS, tax deducted at source. So what is the benefit of that? I will hand over that 1,000 to the government of India out of 10,000, and rest 9,000 will be going through bank to that person A. Now, when that person will file the income tax return, he will present to the government of India that I have my tax liability of rupees 1,000 that I have already paid to you. Suppose. So he is not required to pay tax anymore. But suppose he is not having any tax liability. His tax liability is suppose zero. Then government of India will pay back that 1,000 to that person A. That is called refund of tax. So I hope these both procedures are clear now. One is tax deducted at source and second one is this one, refund of tax. So you are not concerned about that refund of tax that I have told you only for a knowledge purpose. Yeah, in salary also tax is deducted at source. Whenever you are paying salary to your employees, there are some norms for that. If the norms are there, then you have to deduct TDS. How to calculate TDS? That percentage is given in the Income Tax Act on which type of income or on how much income you have to deduct with what percentage. TDS itself has some norms, so that is a very detailed topic. So question will tell you whether TDS has to be deducted or not, and if percentage is given, then only you will be deducting, and otherwise you are not supposed to deduct TDS also. Now, interest on debentures is an expense and transfer to statement of profit and loss account at the end of the year. If he is deducting TDS but not paying, then penal provisions will be there. Government will levy penalty on that person who is deducting TDS but not paying it to the government. That has to be deposited by a date, particular date with the Government of India, and the receipt has to be furnished to the person to whom you have paid that rupees rest of the 9,000. He will get a TDS certificate from you that his tax has been deducted. Now, next part is treatment of accrued interest. Now, what is accrued interest? See this line. Suppose my financial year is starting from 1st of April and ending on 31st March. Now, suppose interest dates are 30th June and 31st December. So 6 months will be how much? From 1st January to 30th June, and the second 6 months are 1st July to 31st December. So suppose we have kept due dates 30th June and 31st December. So time period will be 6 months, will be 1st January to 30th June and 1st July to 31st December. But my financial year is 1st April to 31st March. Now what will happen? First due date of the interest is 30th June. Suppose I have paid 5,000 here. Now from 1st July to 31st December, 5,000 I have to pay here on 31st December. But I have not paid this 5,000 somehow. We can use any dates. So it can be also 30th September and 31st March also. It can be 30th June and 31st December also. But generally, companies keep either of the dates, either 30th June and 31st December, or 30th September or 31st and 31st March. So because I have to explain this concept, interest accrued and due and interest accrued but not due, that's why I'm taking these dates. Now 5,000 were payable on 31st December, but till 31st March, when you are preparing your balance sheet, your financial statements, you have not paid this rupees 5,000. So the interest of 5,000 is the second installment. First installment was payable on 30th June, that I have already paid. But the second installment of 5,000 I have not paid till 31st March, suppose. That will be called, now the interest was due on 31st December. So it has been accrued also, means outstanding also, and due also. That will be called interest accrued and due. But if suppose the period is starting from 1st January to 31st March, now this period interest will be payable on next 30th June. If you think practically, I will mark here 30th June again. The interest which will be accruing to you now between 1st January to 31st March, that will be actually payable on 30th June. That will become due on 30th June, not before that. So when you are preparing your financial statements on 31st March, on that date, it is accrued. It has become outstanding, but it is not payable. That's why it is written, but not due. So the interest which was accrued also and which was payable also on 31st December but not paid till 31st March was called interest accrued and due. And the interest which have accrued after the due date till the date of balance sheet, but because the due date was not that date of balance sheet, that's why it is called interest accrued but not due. So now I hope the difference between interest accrued and due and interest accrued but not due is clear. And both are presented in whether it is interest accrued and due or whether it is interest accrued but not due, both are presented in current liabilities because in future, near future, I will be paying them. That's why it will be shown in other current liabilities under the head current liabilities. We will discuss them in next lesson again, and we will discuss the topic further also.